Okay. Well, guys, I think you got a really good plan here. Before we get started, Paul, can you present this at the or go over this at the Region Captain call Tuesday night?
Yes, that's Tuesday at 9:30.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think Rachel mentioned she'll be on too, so maybe you'll get both of us presented.
Oh yeah, you're both going to be on there, aren't you?
Well, if you need me to, I can be.
Well,
well, being as she's the primary author, I think it'd be great if Rachel helped out.
So that you can blame me if people don't like it. I get it. You're taking the lead.
There you go.
Blame Rachel for everything. Okay.
I was trying to give you credit.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Well, Rachel, I'd like to have you on there, just if nothing else, as a listener most of the time. Now, of course, I know this. Oh, Rodney's on. Rodney, you there?
I am.
Good deal.
Rodney.
But Rachel, just to have you on there, just I know with this legislative plan, there's much for you to participate or voice, but otherwise, just listen in so you kind of know what's going on with us.
Do you think we might actually get some region captains on this thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, I am having lunch with a good region captain candidate next week.
Oh, good.
For Region 7, the big one in Indianapolis.
Oh, that's my region, I assume.
So, and it's a lady.
Interesting.
So, I hope that goes well.
Yeah, I noticed we definitely don't have a fair representation of females. I don't know why that is.
I don't know either.
It's kind of strange, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Rodney, you can see we're really down to business here. Where'd he go?
Yeah, I think I have my phone muted because my dog was howling at the animals.
Okay, Rodney.
To do that at the worst times.
Our legislative liaison team has come up with a plan for 2018, and that's what I have on the screen here. And did I give you a copy of this too?
Probably.
All right.
I don't remember seeing it. No.
All right. Okay. Who's going to go through this? Paul, you going to go through it, or Rachel?
Sure, I can. And okay. Rachel, I'm sure, will chime in if I omit something.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Such a wallflower.
Now, I've got some questions as we go along here. Okay, but go ahead.
Okay. So, probably the first and maybe one of the most helpful things is we did divide responsibilities. So, Jack is wanting to be more in the background and kind of as an as-needed resource. So I'm going to take the lead, regularly visit the State House, although Jack's going to be there quite a bit anyway on some of the other issues he's working. And I'm going to focus on meetings more with the legislative assistants and the legislators, acting on some of that feedback that we got from Senator Holdman, that it may not be very productive to visit all the supporting legislators and ask for their continued support. But the idea behind working with the legislative assistants is, I think they're a key to getting access to the legislators, and it's more in preparation for what's to come. Once we meet the 34 past states and just paving some relationships. And once we get closer to actually having the convention, we'll want to engage more with the legislators on commissioner selection and instruction and, actual amendment proposals that we might want to carry forward. Rachel's going to focus on getting LMS up to date, tracking meetings, gathering information, and kind of just, it seems to me, helping out wherever she can, as she's helping out also with regional captains and what she's doing right now with recruiting folks to help out with some of the other states working to pass. And then, as I said, Jack's going to, we don't want to lose his relationship capital down there with all the contacts he has. So we're going to keep him involved and rely on him primarily for the relationships with the legislators. Any questions on that, on sort of our loose division of responsibilities?
Rachel, how you doing with LMS? And you got people there that know it well enough and just spun up on it?
I mean, I've been on LMS. I mean, as you know, it took me a while to get access to it. We haven't in our state. I don't think there's been anything put in there for quite a long time. So, I definitely think there's a lot of work that has to be done to get everything up to date in LMS.
Yeah. Yeah, if Paul doesn't know it well enough, or Jack or Dale or anybody, I got people that can help with that. It's not intuitively obvious some things that need to be done in there.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that to me before. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to, get help to the extent that I need it going forward.
All right.
So moving on to strategies, one of the first ones is we think one of our most important roles is support of the district captains to keep them more as the primary contact with their legislators rather than the legislative liaison team. We want to encourage that district captain relationship. Now, of course, we'll help to fill in where there may not be a district captain, but we see that as our main role.
Okay, I got a question.
Go ahead.
I got a question there, Paul. How do you're supporting the district captains, well, you're a region captain. Do you want to be aware of that support? Do you want to be in the loop there? How do you want to, as a region captain?
Well, certainly, and I think anywhere on here where it says district captain, we can probably just include region captains too. And in terms of the kind of support is, if we're building relationships, particularly with the legislative assistants, that may give us an ability to schedule a meeting for the district captain if they're having trouble getting through. And then also some stuff like at point B here under strategies is training them on a messaging strategy that we're doing a consistent message. And this is something we had talked about, and I added to this document. But for legislators that already support us, we just want to have the DC support them. And if they want to talk about something, talk maybe about the delegate selection and potential amendments. I think all the time when you meet with a legislator, a good question to ask is, what are your legislative priorities for the session? Not that it always has to be talking COS. Because they sure do like to talk about their priorities, and you never know, there may be something that a DC would want to engage on and help them with that. For legislators that were opposed, we're not going to focus so much on asking for support because we've already passed the resolution after all, but really kind of shift that discussion to delegate selection and amendment proposals. I assume most of the opposed legislators are opposed because of a fear of a runaway convention. So it's a great way to acknowledge that fear, telling them we don't want to see a runaway either. And the best way to prevent that is through a very good process for delegate selection and instruction, and just trying to engage them on that point.
Okay, I do have a question on the new legislators that you've indicated there.
The third one there, yeah.
And okay, you're on that one, right?
I just finished on B for the opposed.
Oh, go ahead.
So for C, for new legislators, and there's about 16 of them, we want to just offer some, excuse me, education on COS, ask for their support, and again, continue with our theme of focusing on delegate selection and amendment proposals they may like to see.
Okay, how is that? What does that educate on COS? What is that going to look like?
Well, first of all, figure out where they're at, how much they understand it, and I'm kind of thinking that may tie to how much their legislative assistant knows about it. One of the reasons we wanted to focus on legislative assistance is we're getting a little more bang for our buck. So with the representatives, it's a 3-to-1. So one assistant is supporting 3 legislators. So, you know, if we have a new legislator who has an assistant and the other 2 legislators the assistant supports are supporters, it might be an easier path to get them educated and supporting us. In the Senate, it's a 2-for-1 ratio.
I mean, are you going to do that by just leaving them a stack of materials, or
No,
leave them a?
I would expect them not to read anything that's left, but I wanted to focus on engaging them through the booklet from the simulation from last year, and in talking with them, just, you know, point to some highlights on it. How, you know, it didn't run away. Here's some of the amendments that were proposed. You know, what do you think of these? You know, just encourage them that, you know, this is a tested process now, and there's nothing to fear.
Now, you know, we're supposed to have those CDs in hand. That might be something to
Yeah, absolutely. That's a resource we can leave with them as well.
leave behind.
If I can just interject for a minute on the strategies. I know
Sure.
I sound like a broken record to those of you who've spoken to me about this, but the reason that A is team will offer support to DCs to meet with their legislators. The reason that's first is on purpose, because, and I was just working with the LL manual. On page 6 of the LL manual, it specifically says that a person who should be making the initial contact with the legislator will be a district captain or a COS supporter with a strong personal connection, or a COS volunteer in the district. And I don't think we've done that great of a job in the past at kind of making sure that we keep the district captain, to the extent that we have district captains, in the loop with the legislators, and instead of sort of having 2 parallel processes going on where the legislative liaisons have their relationships and the district captains may or may not be meeting with their legislators. So my vision is that you know, ultimately, to the extent that we can, you know, this needs to be a partnership where we are supportive to get the district captains to be the ones to have the primary relationships with their legislators.
I agree.
Yeah.
Agree. That's the way it's supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Exactly.
Okay, good. This outlining format, my software gets confusing to me somewhat. So we're going to be in Section B, Strategies, Item C. Jack and Paul will accompany DCs to the State House. And this was one of Jack's points, is the DCs should take advantage of opportunities to meet with the legislators in their districts rather than always relying on doing it at the State House. But if we've got a new DC or somebody who hasn't been to the State House before, we want to have Jack or I available to show them around, know the ropes. Again, if we've got good relationships with the legislative assistants, that we can perhaps have more luck in getting past the gatekeeper and getting that meeting set up. Again, this may sound redundant, but I'm going to focus on relationships with legislative assistants. Rachel's going to be the point of contact for tracking the DC meetings and collecting updates when they do happen. So, and those updates, of course, will be recorded in LMS.
So we're choosing to limit the access to the LMS, right? And that will be basically Rachel and you, or just Rachel?
Well, I certainly want to have access to LMS if I'm going to be meeting with legislators and assistants. So at least the 2 of us.
All right.
Yeah, Jack is not interested. I don't think Jack has any interest in having access to the LMS.
Right.
I kind of worked something out with him where he would just, you know, shoot me an email or a phone call to give me the info on any meetings he had, and I would put it in for him. So.
All right.
So, yeah, for the DCs, then probably the easiest way is we'll have them email or Slack or whatever, any of their updates to Rachel, and she'll get it entered. Although there's always that path of going through Patriot Games, but I don't know how many DCs really use Patriot Games to log things. I know Patriot Games will put an entry into LMS if somebody enters in Patriot Games that they met with the legislator. That does pass through. But I think we're better off having Rachel do that because things will be in a standard format and probably make much more sense when we go to use.
Okay, hold on. Rodney,
Sir?
is LMS a role in Citizens Builder like Follow-Up Tool is?
It's not
I
there
can't
now.
No, it's well, I guess part of it would have to be done by role. If the position is a state, well, in your case, support group, that would be above our RC and up to you. Then they have access to everything in the LMS when they're in there. But everybody's by invitation only. The DCs, if they were in there, which Jenny promotes some once in a while in Tuesday night training, the DCs only have access to legislator information in their district. I don't know what the RCs get because they didn't really have a. I think they were like
Access
DCs and
to view legislator information or input or both.
they could actually input information for legislators in their legislator in their district.
How are we going to control that then?
You control it because they have to be invited in. You go look them up in there and you invite them. If you don't invite them, then they don't have access. And if you got anybody in there you don't want to have access, they can be taken out.
All right. I'll figure that out. All right. Go ahead, Paul.
That'd be Rachel and Paul's job. Rachel.
Let's see. I think we're on F. Is that right? Kind of lost track here.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Rachel's going to check in with the district captains and regional captains offer support and keep them updated on the contacts. So as you can kind of see, Rachel's going to primarily be our link to the district captains and regional captains. We're also going to work to ensure that we give support to districts that need it. For example, if they don't have a DC, particularly with the new legislators, we'll make sure that the DCs meet with them, but if there isn't a DC in that district, I'll take responsibility for meeting with them individually, or Jack.
Okay, do we have the new legislators identified?
Yes, we've got 16 of them. We've got the list.
16?
Yep.
Do you have those on a list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you send that list to me?
I pulled this list from your leaders site. You've already got it posted there.
I sure do. That was a test. I wanted to see if you knew that. Holy smokes.
But the one legislator that's not on that list, as we've talked before, is Victoria Sparks, Senator Sparks. And she was at our meeting in Carmel at Jack's church.
All right.
Let's see. And any districts with no district captain, I'll just ensure that these legislators know we're still here and who to contact. And part of it, too, I think, is just hanging out at the State House and just running into them in the hallway, even if it's a 2-second hello and they get to see a Convention of States pin or something like that. Just even if it's just a small walking billboard like that. And then, of course, we're going to be on the lookout for any rescission resolutions. Jack knows the resource to look at when the session begins. We'll comb through that and probably set up some alerts on Legistan as well for anything that might get introduced.
Okay. All right. All right. How do we want to roll this out then? Do we want we're gonna present this at the region captain meeting. are you wanting? How would you like to see this rolled out?
I think from my perspective, I certainly think that the first step is that we need to get a better sense of where everybody is. I would want to start a dialogue with the region captains to see if we can get a status update. Where are you? Where are all your districts? Where are the districts where we already have had contact? Where district captains are already in contact with their legislators, so that we can prioritize, and so that information can be shared with Jack and Paul, so that when they, if let's say they are planning on speaking to one of those legislators, they know that they have a district captain that already has a relationship, and they can make sure to coordinate.
Okay.
Yeah, and from my side, what my plan is to start compiling a list and strategy for the legislative assistants, prioritize which ones I want to meet with, and then for the session, which goes from January 8th to March 16th, I think it is, I got to compare that with my calendar and pick the days that I'm going to be able to get down to Indianapolis, and also looking at the legislative calendar with what's going on. But just kind of mesh all that together to figure out the best times to be down there, and how often, and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, guys, I think this sounds good. Rodney, what do you think?
I was just thinking, is this like an ongoing plan? It kind of looks like this one's, it's obviously not for just Capitol Day or whatever, right?
Right. Well, as far as doing like a Capitol Day or a surge of DCs there,
yeah.
With the feedback we're getting from legislators, I don't know that would be so effective for a past state. We want to stay visible, but not distracting, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's why we haven't put any mass events like that. I think those are appropriate for a non-pass state to show support, but our main goal, I think, and Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, but our main goal is to support DCs and growth of the grassroots and making those connections with legislators to strengthen that piece here, to put us in the best position for when we actually get to convention.
Yeah, I like that plan. And you're right, in the past states, the Capitol Days aren't really, they may end up aggravating some of them.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see what the opposition has to say up there in like B under the BB.
BB, okay.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see responses that come out of the opposition when you talk to them about amendments and that. Nothing, not really related with this, but I don't know. You want to keep it in your back of your mind. There's some states that are Paul and Dale. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if Rachel was involved at that time anywhere, but you remember 2 years ago we did a candidate survey. Remember that at all?
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
That was before my time.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, it's trying to go out and find out where candidates are on the convention of states and entering that data in a database that is specifically for candidates. And they're not going to make it mandatory this time. It was that time, but there's been some states asked for that, so it's possibility soon there will be something there that you could use if you wanted to with any candidates. And Gene Cloud in Florida, he and I have been talking about, we were on a call today with their legislative liaison team, and I said the thing should be available all year round because of special elections and things like that. So that way you kind of get information on your candidate. And if they don't get elected, you can bring them onto your team. If they're supporters. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Is that it, Paul?
Yeah, that's what we're going to call a plan.
Okay.
I'd say this is the first one I know of that any state has done. They always talk about building relationships with your legislators, and everybody talks about it, and I don't know that it ever happens. And usually it's a capital thing, and I like what I see here. Probably blazing a trail here.
Thank you.
Yeah, go Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I promote all the
we
good
get
things
all the
I see
arrows
out of these
too.
past states. Yeah.
Okay, Rachel, this the proposed edits to the LL manual, is this? I have not studied this very closely.
Well, I just wanted to, the reason I sent it to, just so Rodney knows, because I sent it to Rodney today also, the reason I sent it to you is because I wanted you to know that I was including the piece that you were concerned about the organizational chart. And again, I don't know if anybody's going to pay any attention to any of the edits, but I'm hoping that some of them are included. I mean, Rodney can speak to that about what the chances are that we're actually going to get any of those edits put in.
I think there's a really good chance because Rita's really a stickler for good writing and stuff like that. I haven't looked to see what you found later in the document, but I don't know if she's seen it since there was the first couple of pages put on there. She may go berserk too.
Oh yeah, no, it was.
But since you guys are either, and Paul, I don't know if Rachel's invited you in on this or you want to do it. I got a team that's kind of working, and Rachel's going to help try to unite past states. And Gene Cloud from Florida is the LL on there, and I asked them if they'd take this up. And so, and said they could bring anybody else they wanted into it. So if the document gets updated with past states information, then Rita will review it, and at that point we can get her to incorporate all your edits or talk to you about them. If we end up, which is highly unlikely, having a past states legislative liaison manual, then it probably won't get changed, but they're going to push hard against having a separate manual.
Which I actually don't think it's necessary to have a separate manual. And Paul, just so that you know, since you're the only one I think here that wasn't exactly on that, I had just sent, I worked with Gene Cloud, and we're working on adding a section to the legislative liaison manual as it exists now to apply to past states. Okay. So basically it's a section that says, if you're a past state, these sections, may not all apply to you. However, we still want you to read the whole manual, but please refer to this section, which will be more specific about what your responsibilities are as a past state.
That sounds great. I can't wait to read that, figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Well, it hasn't been approved yet. I mean, I can certainly send you what I wrote, what my proposal is, but to the extent that no one's going to actually take it up, I don't know if it's going to be wasted.
Yeah.
Well, Rodney, what do you? Since I got you on the line here, did you see what I sent to you and Jenny with regard to that disclaimer?
I did. She's going to push back on anything you want to do with that has anything to do with manuals in general. If it applies just to you signing it, she may agree that you can just put that on there and sign it, that agreement. But doing anything in general for all states is going to be a no. I can tell you that.
Well, I thought I'd give it a shot. So.
Well, I could tell you.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
I don't mean to make a big deal out of this, but as an attorney, if I was given that manual without the disclaimer about the organizational chart, I would not sign it. So it's not a small thing. I mean, it may seem like it is to her, but I don't know how many other people are going to be in that position. I mean, is that something that they really want to lose people over, putting in 2 sentences? It's really kind of surprising that would be something to fight over, but I don't know.
Yeah, there were a bunch of edits in the drafts, and this is one of them that I think Dale pointed out. I don't know if anybody else did, that I made comments on, published them to get things changed before they published, and this was one of them, and I was like, no, this is crazy. They don't say anything about it in the document to begin with. They just put it in there and go away.
Right.
Yeah. No, these are going to have to be probably a lot of revisions to these a year from now or whatever, now that everybody's seen them. So.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the response is on it. So,
yeah.
I mean,
they did a good job on them for what they did. They had a short period of time, and they had to come up with like how many of them were there? 13, 16 manuals, something like that.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
No, they did a good job. But you know, we'll just continue on the way we're doing it, and we'll see what happens here.
Yep.
Can I just ask, Rodney, can I ask you something a little bit tangential, just because I'm working on this also since I have you on the call? If I have people who potentially... Okay. Your loss will never
She just kept going, didn't she?
Yeah, I know.
She's a prosecutor, Rodney.
It's like when people say, can I ask you a question, right? And then they don't wait for you to answer. Okay.
And I did. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, so on the Mississippi thing that you're trying to get people to help, I have a few people who potentially are gonna be willing to help out, but they're looking for a lot of more specific information on the status of things in Mississippi and so on and so forth. Should I be forwarding their questions to you? Are you the point person on that, or is there somebody in Mississippi that's handling that?
Yeah, I'm the point person for the past states. Depending on their question, I may have to go to them or point them to them. But
okay.
Yeah, I can probably answer the questions.
So I should just send them to you.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I mean, it's not like 15 people. You know, it's our grassroots coordinator and one of our region captains.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, Rachel, the information that we know about these two, that has been posted on Slack.
Yes.
In the region captain channel.
Okay. Yes, but I wasn't getting a lot of responses from that. I mean, you were the one that posted the information on the region captain channel, and I don't think we got any responses. So I reached out to the region captains individually.
All right. Okay. All right.
If they're comfortable posting their questions on Slack, I'll answer them there. I had one today on the COSDC Slack. It was, why are we starting these calls now? Because people will forget by the time the event gets here. And there's a reason for that. I have to explain it. It's to try to get a list of people to target right before the event. So that's why.
No, I mean, I hate to be like the person who's continually bringing bad news, but you know, it's the system with Slack. I mean, like you said, somebody posting a question on DC. You know, I never look at the DC Slack workspace, even though I'm on it, because there's so many different channels and there's a million things. It's hard to know what's applicable, and it could take 6 hours a day just to go through all the new things posted on all the different workspaces, the channels.
I'm with you. I ignore it. The only reason I'm there now is because of these missions, and I'm only looking for volunteers and then one channel on there that's related to this. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't look at anything on there.
I was even trying to forward your initial post about Mississippi to somebody, to one of our people in Indiana, and it took me like an hour just to find that. So.
Oh.
Frustrating.
Yeah. We don't have anything better.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do. So. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I think another thing that we're probably going to run into is getting people to commit during the holidays here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Christmas and New Year's coming up. This is, I think it's going to be hard to get people to commit during this time.
Yeah, I've already seen the communications on all the state, national, and Slack teams have really slowed down. Part of it, I think, is the Citizen Builder launch and the manuals that came out.
Right.
And then they're winding into holiday season. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, all right, guys. Good job.
Thanks, Bob.
And Unless anybody's got anything else, we'll call it a night. And Paul and Rachel will see you next Tuesday night.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay.
If anybody got anything else?
Nope.
That'd be it.
All right. Good
All right,
night,
have a good
everyone.
Okay, good night.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys.